Hello, on this week's video I'm reviewing the new 2018 Triumph Tiger 800. So this particular bike is the XRT model, which is basically the top of the range road going version of this bike. So it comes with lots of extras, as you can see. It's got sort of the fog lights, all the standard Brembo brakes. So I'll go through the sort of different versions. There's lots of different versions of the Tiger 800 now. There's the XR and the XC. R stands for road going. So as you see, this one, it has the road tyres. The XC models are more off-road focused, so they have more knobbly tyres and higher front suspension. Then the T on the end of this it's basically, T stands for top. This is the top of the range model, and there's a couple of ones below that. So price wise, the 800 Tigers start around £9,000 all the way up to this one that's £12,000 or nearly £12,000. So quite a range. So I'll go through some of those specs on what you get for your money. So the very base model, which like I say is around £9,000, is the XR model. So instead of this lovely TFT that just has an LCD, it doesn't have these on the screen, it just has a normal sort of screen. Doesn't have things like, this has got heated seats, cruise control, even heated grips on the lowest spec model. They're an optional extra. So the next model up is the XRX. So this does include things like the heated grips, it has the TFT screen, and it has Brembo brakes. It also has the lovely daytime running lights, as does this model obviously. And that model has a couple of different rider modes. So then finally onto this, which is, like I say, is the top spec model. So what else do you get for this? You get fully adjustable suspension. It's Showa suspension, 42mm front, fully adjustable, and under there somewhere is the rear, again fully adjustable. On this top model, as I said, you also get lots of things. So you've got stacks of buttons here, which takes some getting used to. So we've got heated grips, different modes. This has more rider modes than anything else. It has 6 different rider modes. Cruise control here. Even has heated seat, so front fog lights there, heated seat there, and it's not just the heated seat for the main, it's pillion as well, so it's got heated seat, and I tried that out earlier and it works really nicely. So this latest 2018 version, they say they've done 200 different modifications to the previous model. The previous model's really well rated anyway, and this is just like an incremental upgrade, but 200 mods seems to make a lot of difference. So some of the things that they're saying are different are the engine. So the engine is supposed to be a lot smoother, has a freer flowing and slightly louder exhaust. It's their triple engine, which is silky smooth anyway. It's 800cc, as the sort of name would suggest, and it's 94 horsepower, so it's got plenty of power too. Weight wise, it's not a light bike, it's 208 kilograms, and that's dry, so once you get some fuel in and people on it, it's a lot heavier than that. It doesn't feel like a heavy bike though, it feels really sort of chuckable, if that's the right word for an adventure bike. But yeah, changes of direction, everything are really quick. It's worth saying that on the road going, it has a 19-inch front wheel, where the off-road one is a 21-inch wheel. So I think that really helps with its sort of road manners as well. If you're wondering about seat height, I think this is fairly low. This is 810mm, which isn't too bad, I don't think, for an adventure style bike, but it's really clever this. You can actually adjust it, even though this isn't the low version, and they do a low version, but only a specific trim of the 800, and that has an actual lowered chassis as well as the seat. But even on this, there's 2 height settings, so I'll quickly show you how to do that because it's quite clever. So first of all, we just pull the pillion back, then this also comes back. I've got to be careful here because of the heated seat wires, but you can see these, you can basically adjust the height by just moving those positions. I'm going to put it back into the highest setting, but I thought that was a really neat little thing. So looks wise, like any adventure bike, and I keep saying this because I keep doing adventure bikes, people either love them or hate the looks of them. So again, I think this is a pretty bike, looks purposeful, hasn't got too much of a beak there, but it's got something, lots of sort of exposed engine. And the thing with these Triumphs, they do it a lot, this completely exposed frame, which I think looks pretty cool. So on to some of the toys of this. If we switch this on, there's the really nice sort of TFT screen. Again, today it's sort of, there's been a bit of rain, I've had sunshine on it. It's really readable. The other cool thing that I've not seen before on bikes, that's adjustable, so you can change the sort of angle of it to suit your height, which I thought was quite nice. Other things we've got on here, we've got modes, so as I said, it was just raining, so I've got in rain mode at the moment. You've got your fuel there, obviously a rev counter, speed in the middle, and your gear indicator there. Sort of your warning lights down the side too. From a controls point of view, it's a bit more complicated than a normal bike. Over here is pretty much the same. Obviously, throttle, front brake, hazard lights here, your kill switch, home button. You see this goes into menus, and you always press that to sort of return to this sort of home screen. Over on this side, lots of buttons. So there's your sort of flash here, horn, heated grips, your joystick for selecting, which I'll come into in a second, indicators, mode. So we can go through this mode here, keep pressing, and again you've sort of got race, rain, normal, twisties, sort of all-terrain. I think that's race anyway. So you go through those and then use the joystick to select. You've also got cruise control here, your fog lights, and the heated seat. So what does it sound like? So even at low speeds on this slightly rough, it's really easy to ride. So something I've noticed this bike does, it's got like an anti-stall system. So as soon as you're letting the clutch out in first gear, the revs go up slightly. So I think that's quite a handy little feature. See what I mean here? When I start to let that out, I'm not accelerating, and the revs went up. We're currently in rain mode. I don't think we need to be in rain mode anymore since the sun is now shining. So push that mode button, go through those different modes. That's the one I want. Select. That says release the throttle to confirm, back off the throttle. We can now see that's changed to sort of normal road mode. So performance wise I'm really impressed. So nearly 100 horsepower and it feels like it. So it goes really well. So one of the things I really like about this bike is the fact that you can adjust the screen easily. That's how easy you can actually do it. It has these clever sort of pins on the springs, so the springs on the bolts, so you can literally just push it forward or pull it back and adjust the height, so you can get it just right as you're riding. And on my V-Strom it's not quite so simple, there's a couple of Allen bolts, so trying to get that right was a massive pain really, because what you had to constantly do was change it, go out and try it, change it, go out and try it, so this sort of system's a lot better really. So the sort of low speed, as you can see, is really nice on this bike, really easy and very easy to ride. There's something I found about this bike compared to most adventure bikes, it doesn't feel big, so it's really controllable and manageable. Comfort wise, it's really comfy bike. You can tell it's got decent sort of expensive suspension, so it's got the Showa adjustable suspension front and rear, and it soaks all the bumps up. Mirrors are pretty decent, quite wide, so you can get in with not too much shoulder and arm in the way. This dashboard works really nicely, you've got everything you need. It's not got too much and you can just change everything. So as far as comfort's concerned, then it's super comfortable. So as I just said, the suspension itself's really good, but the seat is really comfortable and it is heated as well, so today's not the warmest of days, it's 15 degrees, but I bet in winter having that heated seat on would be great. I did try it earlier and it was really nice. Even the pillions heated too, which is quite cool. Your riding position is like a lot of adventure bikes, where you're quite upright, arms outstretched, quite wide bars, so you've got lots of control, so that works nicely. Something unlike a lot of adventure bikes though, the tank isn't huge and like a big lump in front of you. I especially found that with the BMW GS, where I think because this tank is lower, it makes the whole bike feel smaller and lower. I also find it to be really nimble for this style of bike, where sort of changes of direction are a lot quicker than they normally are. So because this isn't a big heavy bike, and actually filtering and that kind of stuff, it feels a lot easier. So because of that, then you feel like you can filter a bit more. And the bike's low speed manners are really nice as well. So here I'm doing sort of 25 in second gear and it just feels it goes where I want it to. Feels really light. Again, the clutch is nice and smooth and doesn't take much effort either. So yeah, even just pootling like this, it feels really nice. So let's do my usual positives and negatives. So the three biggest things I like about this bike. Number one is this engine. It's a absolutely cracking engine. I think these triples are really good because they've sort of got the torque of a twin and the character of a twin, but they've also got the smoothness of a four-cylinder. So I do find it really smooth. So that's number one. So number two is how comfortable the bike is. It really does feel comfortable. The suspension's really nice, the seat's very comfortable. It's really easy to ride. so that's my second. Number 3 of the positives is just how well thought out things are and how you can sort of tailor the bike to you. So things like that adjustable screen is such a simple thing, but it makes a big difference. And the fact that even though this has got 6 different rider modes, you can still go in and adjust those exactly to how you want. You can change the TFT dashboard to what you want, so it's just, you personalise it to exactly how you want. Again, another example of that is the seat height. It's just well thought out that with those clips you can just change the height by a small amount, even on a standard bike. So it's those kinds of things, it's just very well thought out. So as for negatives, as usual with most bikes, then I seem to struggle with a lot of negatives on new bikes. I don't think they make bad motorbikes anywhere really, or I've been fortunate enough not to ride any, so it's just niggly things. So on this, I find all this area here a bit exposed. Like I say, it's a pretty niggly thing, is that. Something else might be there's so many buttons here, then I think that could be quite off-putting. So I found today that I'm having to look down to make sure I'm pressing the right button. Like I say, I think you'd get used to that, so it's probably just because I'm not used to having so many buttons there. I guess one negative, some people will think that for a middleweight adventure bike, then this particular model I'm on, which is the top of the range one, is quite expensive. But the range just does start at 9,000 and go up to this one at 12,000. And at 12,000 you're into the bigger base models of the bigger adventure bikes. To me, I actually prefer the middleweight class to the big ones anyway, so I'd rather have a higher spec middleweight. But some people may view that as a negative, that it's cost-wise on par with some of the bigger bikes. So as we're just coming into the centre of York, it's probably a good time and a good reminder for me to thank A1 Motos, who are the main Triumph dealer in York, for lending me this bike. I really appreciate it when people do lend me bikes to do reviews of. These guys have already helped me out a couple of times already. So if you are in York or in the area and you want to see some Triumphs, then I'd highly recommend. I don't think I've ever seen so many bikes in one showroom, and the guys are really friendly. So as well as all the sort of standard new bikes, then they have a load of used bikes as you'd expect, but something you wouldn't expect for a main dealer is they do customisation too. So I was looking at a stunning Thruxton R that they'd modified earlier today. So if you fancy having a nosy, then do go along there. They also have a sort of biker's cafe built in, so it's not just about it being a dealership. So thanks once again to the guys at A1 Moto. Also thank you to you for watching this review. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you've got any questions or comments, then please do leave them. I do like reading those comments and questions, and that's how I'm trying to make the channel better as we go from that feedback. So please do subscribe and give us a like if you did like it. I do try and upload every single Friday, so if you subscribe and hit that little bell icon, you'll be notified every time a new bike review comes out. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next week.